and welcome to GM Talks, where we are back after a long break. Today we're going to look at opening preparation in chess. How to think about how to start the game in chess when you know your opponent, you know his tendency, you know his sort of strength and weaknesses. So how do you exploit him to the maximum? This is what this video is about, and it's one thing you can use in every game, because you're gonna play the opening in every chess game. Every time we start with the same position, the one we have on the board, and it goes from there. And usually, if you have access to some sort of database we usually for grandmasters is often chess-based, but it could also be the Lichess database or the chess.com database or any other database that you will know something about your opponent and maybe you can exploit him. So I played the tournament in Weissenhaus in Weissenhauser Strand in the north of Germany. It was Weissenhaus Young Masters, and I am not a young master. Actually, I was the oldest player in the lineup, and I didn't do that well. I scored 4 out of 9 but it was a very strong lineup. I lost, unfortunately, against the youngest player, I think, Christian Glockler, who didn't get many more points. I think he got 1.5 out of 9, and he won against me. He played very well, but I had a horrible opening, so that was an example of how not to prepare for a game. Anyway, and I lost to Setu Rahman, who won the tournament and played very well throughout. And I had some near misses and so on. It was not a disaster, but it was not great either. So, I'm white against Marius Deuer, and he had started fantastically in the tournament, but the round before he messed up and lost a good position, and I could sense that he was getting tired, and this is a little bit typical for young players. They tend to get tired, actually, even though they should have more stamina than the old guys. They're probably a little better at sort of dosing the energy or something like that. Anyway, so I looked at his openings, of course, and he's very well prepared. He's a typical German soon to be GM. He's a strong IM 2472, and he was at some point leading the tournament together with Setu Rahman, or in second place. I think he had +3, 4.5 out of 6, and then he lost in the 7th round, and then this was the 8th round against me in the morning. And to be honest, I was okay with the draw, because the tournament has not gone so well, and if we made a quick draw, I could get to the spa, which would have been nice. Anyway, I noticed his openings were a little bit one-sided. That is, he doesn't have the possibility to he cannot change his openings. He doesn't have different things, and I realized that he plays the same more or less every time. And the good thing about a move like knight f3 against young players is that they don't have much experience, and they will often try to play the same as they do against d4 or c4, and often they can get it in a slightly worse version. So as a player, I'm very old, so I have played everything. So I open with e4, d4, c4, knight f3. So in this position, I also play e4. I also play d4, and I had already played these moves in the tournament, and I even also played knight f3. And I think knight f3 is maybe my main home. I don't know. Anyway, this was what I expected, c4, and this was what I had planned from home. Trying to trick him. If he plays e6, g3, we're already in. He doesn't want to play these kind of reti system, you could sense. So he plays c5 here. And we go, this is normal symmetrical English, and now it's, I think, the English 4 knights, I believe it's called, here, and e6. And here I had, white has many options here, and that's, and it's a tricky opening for black, I think. Black has to know it very well, and if he does so, then he's okay. But it's kind of tough to play, and white can choose whatever setup he would like. He can play among the possible moves. Bishop f4 is not bad. Knight d to b5 is not bad. A3 I played also with white. I think I played all three moves. I also played e4, and that was actually my original sort of idea for what to play in this against Deuer. But then I realized, but he's probably going to play okay in the position. After this, the main line goes something like this, and I won a great game with white after this against Allan Stig Rasmussen, a Danish GM. But I believe that it's that black should just take back with the B pawn. And even though Carlsen recently beat Anand in a great technical game, really the kind of game I like, it's nothing. It's not much. It is not much. I was looking at it for some time. I realized, it's not much, and he's probably going to play okay. And then I realized, okay, there were some ideas with after G3, and also when I played this with line with black, I realized I don't really like it. It's unpleasant because white will probably sacrifice some sort of a pawn, and you often end up with having difficulties developing these pieces, which is. And I really don't like when you sort of get pushed back without getting the pieces out. It's nobody, of course, likes that. But I really have a almost physical reaction to this kind of situation. The only good move for black here, I believe, is Queen b6, and that's also what he did. He knows his theory. Here, white can go knight db5, and you probably have to go something with knight e5 and knight f to g4, and it's a mess, and I think after something like this, it goes something weird like this, and here e3 queen c6 is a disaster for white. But something like this is I think this is theory somehow. I'm not sure, and it's very weird chess. Anyway, I don't like it for black. I don't like it for white either, because the computer says that black is fine, but it's unpleasant. But I saw recently that white has scored well with knight b3, and the good thing about getting this kind of position is when you play e4, d4, c4, you play all kinds of things. Black cannot expect what to do. So he'll prepare something, and then at some point he will say, if he does that, I'll just do what I usually do. And that's what you're hoping for. So you'll get your preparation in, because black is too exhausted to actually prepare for it, because there are so many things you could actually do. So that's kind of my principle, also because I don't have deep preparation. I don't have like long force lines trying to win. We saw some of the players in this tournament having that. Costa, for instance, was passing out the moves very fast in the Sicilian, sacrificing pieces. He lost both games. He was much better throughout in both games, but it also shows the sort of the danger of having this very forced approach that you have to play really well afterwards, and basically you're probably sitting there disappointed that you didn't just win the game. Anyway, let's get back to action. This looks like a weird move, and it doesn't feel right to play this kind of move, but it is necessary. You have to you attack the pawn here, and you're opening for the queen to sometimes annoy the rook here, also attacking here, and basically you're ready to develop here. The main line now is e4, and that's, I think, the only reasonable move, and bishop b4, and black is trying to develop here. You can look at something like this, but white just goes here, and this you can just take, and it's nothing. It looks, of course, it's always unpleasant when people do things like this, but here it simply doesn't work, and white has to sort of accept some discomfort. And a lot of the lines, which also something I don't like to play against as black, is with white is very well prepared and just do weird things with the king, and we'll see that in the game. Anyway, bishop b4 is the main line, and c5 was my preparation. The main move here, I believe, is something like queen e2, and f4, and or maybe f4 first, queen e2. Yeah, it is f4, knight c6, queen e2, and we have a very interesting position. White is pushing it, and he will probably end up with a double pawn here that can be weak, but he sometimes also gets an attack on the king side. These positions are balanced, I believe. There's no big advantage to be gained here, but of course if you know them well, you always have an advantage. But the idea was to play c5, and this is something I really hate when I'm black, because you might just get murdered on the black squares if you give up your black position. But if you don't, you look like some sort of a fool. Anyway, to be honest, I went for this line because I really want to go to the spa. So I was hoping if he go queen b2, I could still bishop d2, queen b5. I would simply, which is what the computer suggests, I would simply take the draw. So that's so much for my great ambitions here. White can play on. He has to be pretty aggressive to do so, but it's not like he has to take the draw. You can also play f3 after queen c6 and say, okay, I just cover my pawn, and this guy is going to disappear, and the black squares will be a problem, and this guy is a long way from coming out. Anyway, natural move is of course to take the pawn. It doesn't feel right, but after all, it's a central pawn, and Steiny says something, you have to take central pawns. And of course, I eliminate his bishop and get my bishop out to the dark square. Here, black already have to be really careful. You can lose very, very fast. First of all, there are nasty things in the c file, and so knight can come to b5, rook can come to c. Should we do something like this? This is possible, and things like that. And also, you're very afraid something will land here, and you will never get your pieces out. This is, of course, the main fear. You are sitting here with this position, and he's just... But okay, he reacts very well. Queen b4. Very good idea when you experience this kind of thing is to, instead of, you try to, oh, can I just get my pieces out? But often the setup is designed to avoid you getting your pieces out. So you have to actually fight with the pieces you have out. So this mentality that, okay, I can't, I have to, but let's counterattack a little bit. So here, black actually attacks here and attacks here. And there are some tricks. So white has to do something. Bishop d2 doesn't look right after queen takes b2 and knight c4 and something like that. And knight b5 is not possible because it's pinned. So this is not that easy, but I was prepared. I had this position in the morning, queen b3, and of course if the queen goes, then his queen side will be in trouble. The black squares will be in trouble. I have a great compensation. This one is a monster. So what else to do? Well, knight f3 check is necessary. Clearly best move. If you can analyze yourself, but if you take for the queen, which is natural, you will just get blown away by the bishop pair and all the white pieces, and the missing pawn doesn't matter. You will lose something bigger than a pawn anyway. So knight f3 is the right move. Also making my king move. Of course, if I go here, he will go here and exchange something. So no, and going back, check is also right, and king c1. And of course, poor Marius, young, talented, and also, to be honest, seems like a nice guy. Was of course spending tons of time here because he didn't prepare this at all for black. You just get thrown into it, and here he already spent more than an hour, and he has to find one move that's more or less the only move that keeps him in the game, and it even involves a sacrifice of a piece. So that's not easy to do. He ended up playing a6, which is natural. Getting that knight away from this square looks really natural, and just hoping to get my developing pieces, but it just weakens the dark squares too much. He should have played knight e5, and that's so difficult to find this kind of move. Knight e5, getting the knight back, and okay, accepting it will get kicked, and just going here, and after something like this, just playing b6. I had this position on the board with the computer, and basically black is fine. It's a big mess after h3, bishop b7. And you will have to we'll have something like this, but why black has excellent counterplay here. I probably have to play rook h2, knight takes d3 and something, and a lot of things are going on that are dangerous here. I think the main move, rook c8 or knight takes d3. Anyway, this was and I didn't prepare that much because I didn't think he would get to this point. He could have, and if he'd been very well prepared, he would have. And the computer actually tend to favor white a little bit in this position, but okay. He didn't find that. So a6. Thank you, and I'm happy with my opening preparation here, because now it's white that takes over. The king is the only problem he has, and we'll see that. So kicking the knight, and the thing is here, and actually that was actually a mistake. F4, I couldn't. I don't know. Somehow I didn't feel like playing F4, but it's a good move. And he I was thinking something like this, but it doesn't work for black. So and I was also afraid that it might give a check, but it doesn't work either. So I play rook d1. I think I can be excused for that, but f4 is more or less winning by force. Rook d1, it looks like very natural, kicking the queen, avoiding a check, and so on. But f4 would have been even nicer, and if I'd done a little bit harder work with my opening preparation, then I would have had this position and played f4. Anyway, rook d1, also very unpleasant, and here comes a really nasty move, just highlighting the weakness of a6, that white is basically hoping to sink black in his house. He has a take, and d6, hoping to somehow play king e8 and knight e8 and not die immediately. Of course, I kick the knight immediately. If he goes here, then bishop c7 is nasty. If he doesn't go there, then because the thing is, this move here didn't feel right because of knight c4, I think, and I was a little bit afraid that he played king d7 and actually traps my great beloved bishop. So f4 is definitely the move I like here. Knight c4, and let's just go back, and we know that these guys are long range pieces, and they have a long reach here. Okay, bishop d7, trying to develop, b3, kicking the knight, hoping to push him. I don't want to take this one yet. For instance, after this, I definitely don't want to take it. And here we also see that Marius is a talented player. Knight a3 is clearly the most tricky move, and I could mess it up a little bit here, because something like this and king b2 and he might try something like this, which is not what I wanted. Of course, I can take the knight, and it must still be better for white, but it's not the way it should be. So I'm looking for a bigger advantage here. Trying to exploit the knight, trying to exploit the bishops, trying to exploit his king is caught in the middle. So e5 makes a lot of sense. Really, really nasty move. Kicking the knight immediately. Take rook c8. That is also not a bad move. The thing is, yeah, I play rook b2 and knight d4, and here I realized that the planned bishop b7 was not good. And that was a bit of a shocker, because he had prepared this nasty move for me, and if I take that, then rook b8, and suddenly he's back in the game. That was definitely not the plan, of course, but white, of course, will have, he has a knight gone sailing away, have the bishops and so on, so just one little move here, and I will get my pieces into attacking position. I got the bishop here, and of course I like that if he takes here, and I take back, and his knight is threatened, and his rook is threatened. Rook b8, best move again. Knight takes b5. Of course, he can't take here due to the knight check here. He took back. Bishop d2. And basically, he's more or less busted, because the bishop will kill him. If he castles h3 is more or less lost, and I will start attacking his loose pieces. This pawn will go, and the bishops and rooks and connected pass pawn will just overwhelm. So nothing to do. Have to do this, even though it looks completely crazy that you haven't still castled. White has raging bishops, and you just take a pawn with the knight gone sailing away. And of course it is not good, but it was the best chance. Rook b8, rook d8, and h4, kicking the bishop again. Kind of like this kind of thing, and bishop b7. Hoping to get this one, of course, and I'm also threatening bishop c7, and check. And here I had to calculate a little bit, and this turns out to win rather straightforwardly. And of course, it's the kind of game where things just, black never really got developed before it was over. And this is what you really fear when you play this line as black. And I after at the closing dinner, I recommended that you have to be, either you have to be extremely well prepared with black, or you have to have alternatives, because going for this line against a prepared opponent is unpleasant. I've had similar experiences against Peter Heine Nielsen with black, just trying to be principled and just getting murdered, and even though it's objectively speaking fine for black, it's just not possible to play it. And of course the trick here is, if he goes knight f5, which was probably what he was hoping, then I can just take with the rook, and after this the pins wins. Oh, that was rhyming. Anyway, so rook d6. The rest is rather simple. I win the bishop here and here and here, and just being a little bit accurate. He has a trick here. If I take on a7, he goes knight b4, and there's a double threat. So this would be a huge blunder. Due to the tricky knights, but I had seen that, so I had this move, just getting the rook out of the way, and of course he will lose that pawn and an extra pawn if he takes on d6, and then the rook will definitely win. So h6, and now I can take the pawn, have two pass pawns, just avoid counterplay, knight b4. And I was getting greedy, so why give away the pawn here on e5 when you don't have to? The plan is basically rook b5 and push. Rook b5 and push, and take, and a5, and here black resigned. Typical opening provision in modern chess. White's opening is definitely not winning or anything lethal, but it's just very difficult to play with black, and you're under pressure from the beginning. And it doesn't help it's in the morning. Everybody hates that when you haven't even gotten your coffee yet, and people just banging moves in your head, and it feels really unpleasant. Anyway, this was GM Talks. I've been busy trying to prepare the Chess Ninja. It will be coming soon to a channel near you, I hope. Thank you for watching, and please like and subscribe.